battle forms as shown. So basically, Sakura from the last era versus Ten Tails Madara with one eye, pre-God Tree absorption. That's going to be real important because that drastically changes the outcome and difficulty of this battle. And no surprise, I rep Sakura. Sakura is going to dog this man, something fierce. And I'm going to explain that because, wow, some people just amaze me. This guy, first, we're going to start with him because he kind of says some stupid shit. We're going to go through the list, okay? It gets interesting, real interesting. So the first thing he says I want to address, okay, he says Sakura never stated I'm gonna be the diversion. Gets stabbed, she eat, and then she gets no diff. She was gonna be the diversion implying, and then he also goes on to say that she got no diff, which uh, isn't true either because and even if you go with the same and go with the assumption that they did get no diff, the same thing happens to Naruto and Sasuke, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later because I'm gonna look into it a little bit deep. And then the last thing he says, you're showing scans that has nothing to do. What the fuck does having superhuman strength equal to destroying a meteor? That part cut out. So I actually found two translations. The Dove and the Fan translation both say she's going to be the diversion. The only part that changes is what's said after. So, yes, she did state she was going to be the diversion. And then you proceed to say that they get no diff. This is why they say they didn't get no diff. Okay, so after getting slapped back by Madara's limbo, both Naruto and Sasuke take no visible damage, and then Naruto worries that Sakura did and checks on her, and she says, "No, I'm fine," which is even more impressive that she didn't take damage from the actual limbo attack when she gets stabbed by Madara's truth-seeking rods, which neg regen, and she heals it. So I'm not even gonna count this as an outlier feat because Naruto and Sasuke get the same thing done to them. And in the next page, Naruto, or in the next start of the fight, which is like the next page, Naruto's shadow clones are boxing Madara's limbo clones. And Madara's limbo clones are stated in the data book to be equal to the user in power, which means they all have the same strength, speed, and durability as the real Madara. No, the real reason Sakura never participates is shown time and time again that mentally she has, what the fuck do you want to call it? She doubts herself a lot, and sometimes it gets in the way of her, and she fucks up because of it. And then to make it even worse, in the scene where we talk about her getting kidnapped, she's actually caught off guard by the fact that she lets her guard down and tend to slip into a worse emotional state whenever it comes to Sasuke, especially with all the bullshit that's been going on surrounding Sasuke's name, with the fact that with the fact that they're going to put him as a wanted criminal again because of the fake Sasuke going around. And the fake Sasuke puts her in a genjutsu, and she instantly breaks it, but in that split second, they inject her with a drug, which nerfs her ability to mold chakra. I find this part specifically interesting, especially the bottom two highlights, because it talks more about the tail beast drug that Kaido made, which he uses to amp himself in the fight against Sakura, which happens after this, which he states, while it may be a pseudo tailed beast cloak and it's not an actual tailed beast cloak, it does hold power he believes is strong enough to take down Sasuke, which means that this cloak should be relativistic to Sasuke in the last era, which would also put her around Naruto, which also comes in very strong later because it says that her physical strength is unrivaled, which means in terms of physical power, neither Naruto nor Sasuke can match her in it. Whether you think that just means fist to fist or in the Kurama or Susanoo cloak, doesn't matter. And to make matters, they even possess Sasuke's chakra, which they used to fuck with Sakura mentally in her psyche before the fight. Even with that nerf, she was still able to build up her chakra enough to, fight. So, that definitively scales her to Sasuke from the last. which would scale above War Arc Sasuke. And this is why, and again, because this is pre-God Tree Madara, it's very, very one. And the other guy commented that, oh, she wouldn't just be able to punch through Madara's meteor or whatever. And I said she would for the sole fact that since her strength is unrivaled, Naruto and Sasuke in the current, who both state, or Sasuke states he can take a Kaguya level threat by themselves, and Momoshiki is verbatim stated equal to, if not slightly greater than Kaguya. And both of them at half power are still able to combat him, with Naruto even being able to clash and combat him and hold his own relativistic for a moment in the manga, meaning that even in base, they still scale to Kaguya level threats and Otsutsuki beings. And Sakura being stronger than them is just fucking, or being physically stronger than them is actually nuts. And Sasuke even kind of lament this, saying that Sakura isn't that weak. So, yeah. And putting them at Kaguya level threats when Kaguya has been shown to one-shot Sasuke through his Susanoo, not once, but twice. Even the scan tells you about Sakura's like ridiculous healing prowess, and showing the scene where she gets stabbed with the truth seeking. So this form of Madara that's getting speed blitz is stronger than the one she's fighting, and he still doesn't even scale to a weaker Sasuke, which is the Madara she's fighting got one shot by a base six paths Naruto, which again she has scaling to Naruto and Sasuke in the last, who are stronger than this. So both statements at the top. She underwent extremely strict training, and then her ambition bore fruit during the fourth Shinobi War. She strongly leaned against their two backs, which she had just reached, implying that she did catch up to Naruto and Sasuke. And then the bottom was saying, now that they've grown, she'll never fall behind, not even in collaboration with the two of them. Again, referencing Naruto and Sasuke. Both. One statement from when they just, or when she just got the Byakugo seal, comparing her to KCM Master 1 and then EMS Sasuke, and then later KCM 2 Naruto. But again, she didn't even use her 100 healings until Madara gets the six paths and gets both Rinnegan. She doesn't use it before that. At least not in combat wise, other than one-shotting the Jubi clone, which means unironically when Naruto shows that he's scared of her in that scene, she might actually be the strongest character in the show at that point. And Sasuke even acknowledges her strength, and she's not even amping herself with 100 healings. Why'd I say that? Because chakra amount, mass, and chakra volume along with mastery all determines like how strong you are. And Sakura at this point in time where the Byakugo first pops on her head has more chakra than Six Paths Naruto shadow clones who like we just showed had enough chakra and power to combat evenly against Madara's Limbo, which are stated equal to him. It was Madara at his strongest with the dual Rinnegan and the Rinne Sharingan after the God Tree. So basically, statements like these are not kept. And just to throw a little bit more icing on the cake, Skate goes from having to chop meteors with his Susanoo to
It's you. If he...
one tapping. And basically, just say, he grew a lot in power to one tap them with a basic Chidori. And then now we're going to go over the Kaguya fight and why Sakura does scale, at least in AP. I'll use a speed feat later, but again, you can't prove it's an outlier because it's not. Because of the fact that she does fight Madara, which again will just show that the Madara thing of her getting caught and boxed up was an outlier. The part starts off, Kakashi fools Kaguya with by pretending to get stabbed by the ash bones, and then he phases through with Kamui and hits her with the Kamui lightning blade from above, while going through his Susanoo, meaning Sakura is still above Kaguya. The Kamui lightning blade knocking Kaguya into Naruto's path, Well, Kaguya fires one Ash Bone at what she think is Naruto, but it's actually a shadow clone. And then then Sasuke is actually the real Naruto, and that's in the transformation jutsu. Sasuke then switches places with the clone that got hit, and now they're both in range of touching Kaguya, and she tries to fire a second rod or bone at Naruto, but then Kakashi absorbs it with Kamui, and then Kaguya mid thought literally blitzes both Naruto and Sasuke flying upwards before they can even make contact with her, despite rushing at her full speed. But it's because of Sakura's punch from above that she knocks Kaguya back so that and Sasuke can seal her. And why this is impressive is because Kaguya actually takes damage. Like that one punch from Sakura destroys her horn, and despite getting punched through the back of her head, leaves marks on the back of her on her face, which weren't there prior. Extremely impressive because the only three times Naruto was able to do it was after using all of the Tail Beast energy in the Rasen Shuriken, the barrage, and when he used Boiler Release in the Ice Dimension, but the boiler release incident didn't even cause any visual damage to Kaguya. And after she kills Obito, Naruto gets enraged. And then she dodges one of Kaguya's arms after Kaguya becomes unstable when Naruto wasn't able to do so the first time and had to be saved by a shadow clone. And then Kakashi comes in and grabs Sakura, flying up above Kaguya after she dodges the arm. Sakura never got hit by it, nor was she going to. But in the anime, they animated it so that there were two hands where she dodges the first one, but then is unable to dodge the second, which is why Kakashi stepped in. But then that shows that it's not an outlier because she's able to react to Kaguya, and this is after Zetsu stated Kaguya has become exponentially stronger. And he says this about for her speed, strength. So, and her defense, her durability would also include in that because he said her might. So, just her overall physical body is exponentially stronger. So, in conclusion, she dogs the fuck out of this version of Madara. And there's nothing you could actually argue otherwise.
Hey.